I did not mean to do that.
Oh no, okay, I'll stop it.
Of the New York Library Association. Um, Joining us shortly will be Sandra Michelle Eccles, who is a facilitator, a coach, an adjunct instructor, an educator, all things important in this world. Michelle has done that. And she is the past president of the New York Black Librarians Caucus. So before we get started, I did just want to share our learning objectives with you. And what we're hoping to do today is to describe some current volunteer trends, values, and benefits. We also want to identify some motivating factors that lead individuals to volunteer. We want to talk about the role of volunteers and the importance of service, and then also identify service opportunities that intersect with goals. And I think it's really important as we begin to point out the language that we'll be using. So you might hear us talk about a volunteer or a committee member, and we're going to use those words interchangeably. That's someone who provides service. And then same with the words volunteerism, volunteering, and service. Those words we're all going to be using interchangeably as well. So the next slide is a quote that Michelle thought was quite important to this particular conversation, and it really focuses on the idea of trust being one of the most important means to achieve servant leadership. And it's also an end that is achieved by servant leadership. And this comes from Stephen Covey. And when she first shared it with me, it made me think of another quote that I had heard recently, that relationships are built at the speed of trust and social change happens at the speed of relationships. And so as we think of service and we think of this work that we do beyond our regular day jobs, it really allows us to create that network of people that we want to be working with. It allows us to build trust with others. It allows us to be able to share our skills with others as well. And so I think it's quite important to be thinking about what it is that we do as volunteers or as service um, providers to be able to really build relationships and change the future. That's how I always look at it. So this particular slide here is one that I find to be quite important. It's talking about service, and it comes to us from my institution, St. John Fisher College, and the School of Education Social Justice Philosophy. And so in our philosophy, we really have 5 tenets that we focus on, and one of them is service. And the idea here is that through service, or with service, we prepare individuals for lives of intellectual, professional, and civic integrity in which diversity and service to others are valued and practiced. And the idea here is that we improve the quality of life for others, and we do that through our service. And then, of course, it allows us to search for truth, the dignity of every individual, and service to others as a necessary expression of our humanity. So again, thinking of that idea of developing relationships, connecting with others, but it goes beyond that in terms of really thinking about developing that quality of life for others as well. And so when we think of volunteers, there's really 2 definitions that we wanted to think about today. And one is a person who performs or gives their service of their own free will, or a person who did unpaid work, except for expenses, through or for an organization. And really, there are a number of ways that we can define a volunteer or someone who provides service. And the key point is that the individual volunteers time or service and is not directly compensated. Instead of dollars coming to us for that compensation, it's really the what we get to give to our profession, or what we give to those organizations that are deeply meaningful to us. And so I did want to share a couple of statistics with you. Who volunteers? And this is important if you're thinking about how you might increase service in your own organization, or even if you think about yourself and sort of that place in your life where you might be. Some demographics that came to us from, actually it's from 2015, which was the newest report we could find from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And what you see here is that women actually volunteer at a rate slightly higher than that of men. And if we look at the age demographics, I think we'll see that there's not a whole lot of surprise there in who's volunteering. And so at a relatively high rate, our teenagers are volunteering at 26.4%. And so if we think about what's happening in the lives of teens, I think that's interesting because, you know, as a senior project, they all have to volunteer as part of their curriculum. So that might be what accounts for a high rate there. And then, of course, we know that our teens are deeply interested in solving some of the problems that they face. They want to be involved. They want to be a part of making this world a better place. And so 26.4% are volunteers. We see a dip then at ages 20 to 24. And again, this, for me anyways, it wasn't a surprise because I think about what I was doing at that time. You know, many are in college or they might be searching for their first professional job. They might be starting their families in that time period. And so the hours that you have to give for service tend to be different in that age demographic. As we move up, we'll see that 25 to 34-year-olds volunteer at a rate of 25.1%, which is pretty good. It's considering that dip in the age group before. And then it grows for our 35 to 44-year-olds. And so this is the highest number or highest rate of volunteers that we have as folks who are in this category. And again, if we think about where all of us are in our profession, if we're in this age demographic, you're likely somewhat settled into a job or somewhat settled into your family and what you have going on. And so it provides opportunity for you to explore beyond just what you have to do in your daily life so that you can take on additional volunteer opportunities or you can provide service to organizations that you care deeply about. As we go up for our 45 to 54-year-olds, we see a slight dip and then it decreases again as we move to the next age category. And I thought it was interesting too, the statistic on how volunteers have a medium time spent volunteering is 52 hours. So that seemed quite significant to me, thinking of that number of hours that people are giving to their volunteer work. I did want to share some additional trends that we see. So in addition to women volunteering a little bit more than men, or you know, certain age categories, you know, having a higher rate of volunteering, what we do see is that those who are employed also volunteer at a rate slightly higher than those who are unemployed, and that many volunteers are involved with one or two organizations. And so if we think about those 52 hours, what does that mean? That means like if you are looking for volunteers in your organization, you've got great capacity with these people who are willing to give so much time. And then volunteers who become involved with their main organization. Oh, I should say, this one surprised me when I read it. It doesn't matter if someone chooses to volunteer on their own or if you invite them to volunteer, that rate of choosing to become a volunteer is very, very similar. And I was surprised by that because I really thought that if you invited people in and asked them to be a part of your group or your organization, they would be far more likely to choose to volunteer. So some interesting statistics and trends when it comes to volunteering. And the reason we share that is because thinking about what your needs might be, either for yourself, this might give a lot of information about you and what you're craving as you move forward in your service. Or if you're looking to bring people into your organization to serve as volunteers, it helps you to understand like who might you target to bring in? Who might you be looking to think about in terms of um, you know, making sure that you provide opportunities? Is it teenagers? Is it going to be senior citizens? Do you want to focus specifically on one gender or another? And you best know what you need for your organization. But the statistics might help you determine who would be likely to seek an opportunity. And so why do people volunteer? Well, there's so many wonderful reasons, right? When I think of it for me, it was an opportunity to grow in new and interesting ways, to meet people, to um, share what it is that I feel are my skills, and then, of course, to develop new skills. And in our research, we found all of those things to be true, that people volunteer because they want to learn or develop new skills. And this is a great way to be able to do that. Um, People love to be able to teach skills to others. So we all have an expertise in something. And isn't it great when we can share that with others? And it can be connected to our work, it can be connected to our hobbies, whatever it is that we're interested in, and that really um, drives our passions. Um, as a volunteer, it also allows you to build your self-esteem and self-confidence. You get to take your skills and use them in a different setting or in a different way. And so I think that really helps to be able to boost, your belief about yourself. And then this next one, it improves health. And I would say it also improves happiness. And I think some of that comes from just this idea of being able to um, be active, to be surrounded by other people who have a like interest. And so that helps with improving your health and your mindset. Of course, we get to meet new people, and who doesn't love expanding their network? You get to feel needed and valued. Sometimes when you go to work, you do the work because you have to do it, but when you go to volunteer, it's for a different type of purpose. And so by volunteering, you get to feel that excitement, that energy, that feeling of being valued and needed. And then, of course, it also allows you to express your gratitude to others who have helped you. And I think about that in terms of my own service and what I've done. Some of it has been to build up my own skills, but some of it too has been because I want to give back to places that have done so much for me. And it can be something that's simple, a simple activity, but it could also be something that is uh, a little bit more intense in the type of work that you're giving. So I'm just wondering if Michelle is here.
Michelle is here. We're trying to
Oh,
fix the camera issue.
oh, okay.
Um, if you don't mind, I'm gonna make her presenter, and
Great.
I think that might be able to allow her, but that might also take away your screen very briefly.
Okay. Thank you.
So, um, okay, so now you have access to that. I'm gonna make now you're back to being the presenter. And are you able to also, if you click on Michelle's name, are you able to make her an organizer as well, Jen?
I just see make presenter.
Okay. Michelle, are you able to unmute yourself at least? The camera isn't working. No. Okay.
Well, I can continue on, and then when Michelle gets this cleared up, then we will have her join us if that's all right.
Yeah, I'll keep on troubleshooting.
Okay, great. And you are seeing the PowerPoint, right?
Yes, you're all good.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you, everyone. Sorry for the little hiccup there. So there's three things, three um, ways that people are motivated in their service. And this was the most interesting part to me of the research that we did, thinking about affiliation, achievement, and power. So an affiliation motivated person, someone who chooses to volunteer or offer service because of being motivated by affiliation, is someone who likes to be around people. They work best as a team or when they have a group of people that they can bounce ideas off of or share thoughts with, and they like to be perceived as good. They get some value from knowing that others see them in this role as a volunteer or in providing service. And of course, they appreciate social opportunities. So an affiliation motivated person is really someone who wants to make friends. They want to be accepted by others. They require friendly relationships and interaction. And their goal is to be with others and enjoy mutual friendships. So what a great way to be able to gain all of that is by working with others through service. Now, the next motivation that drives people to volunteer is achievement. Now, this group is a group of people who have specific goals that they want to accomplish. They work well on their own. They can work well with others as well, but they have no problem doing this work on their own. They stick with the task until it's done. So even if it's something that might be a little bit difficult, they're not going to give up because they're motivated to figure out how to make that thing happen. They seek feedback and responsibility. They oftentimes are problem solvers, and when they have those problems, they don't see them as a negative thing, but they see them as a challenge or an opportunity, something that they can overcome. And then, of course, they set parameters so that they know when they've been successful. How are they going to know they achieved what they wanted? And it's through that measure of success. And so an achievement motivated volunteer is someone who's concerned with excellence and doing their personal best. They set specific goals, they seek responsibility. Their goal for volunteering is to achieve success in a situation which requires excellence or improved performance. And then the last motivation is someone who's motivated by power. Now, when I first heard that, I'm like, oh no, but it's not like power and like they want to build their kingdom, but it's power in terms of making a difference. So they're focused on program goals. They appreciate titles of authority. They seek and accept positions of authority and responsibility. And also, they're persuasive and self starting. And with this type of person, a power oriented volunteer, they like to be in those leadership positions and be making a difference for others. They like to have influence, they like to have impact, they're concerned with their reputation and position, and their goal is to have an impact or influence on others and on the future. So what I'd love to do is have each of you enter into the chat what type of power or what type of, excuse me, what type of motivation is that motivation that sparks you to want to provide service. And so again, it's affiliation, achievement, or power. And affiliation is all about building relationships. Achievement is all about doing your personal best, and power is having an impact on others or the organization. So if you'd like to add it to the chat now, I would love to hear what motivates all of you.
So Melissa said achievement is what motivates her. Kevin said achievement and power. We just have you in the chat.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, and it's interesting because I think too that when we think of these motivations, it's quite possible that it changes over time as well. So I know when I first started volunteering or joining different organizations to provide service, it was definitely because I wanted to meet people. I wanted to feel a part of something bigger. I wanted to know that, I was having an opportunity to grow in my own skill set. And now I put power in the chat, and it's not that I want power, but what I want to do is leave a lasting legacy. So I'm hoping that the work I do, even when I'm long gone, people are impacted in some way by something that I've done. And so that's why I choose that as my particular motivation. Wonderful.
Also, Arlette said affiliation and achievement.
Yes. Good. Good. Thanks for sharing, everyone. All right. So the next thing I want to do is talk a little bit about the benefits of service. And so what's wonderful about this is you can think about what it is that you crave from doing this work. Do you like to work independently or as part of a team? Do you enjoy getting your hands dirty? Do you prefer to do coordination and administrative type tasks? And whatever it is, there's an opportunity that fits for you. Um, there's definitely opportunities for all of that. And so you can see here on this particular slide that there's beyond just being something that feels good to be able to do, it looks good on your resume. So you're able to help think about what's the next step in your career and then create opportunities, these volunteer opportunities that are going to help get you to that place. It's an opportunity for you to meet people. And this is one of the things that, well, we all know, right, that the library world is very small. And so you get to meet people who can help you in terms of what it is that you want to do. And sometimes it's just because you want to have a network of people that you can go to. You want new friendships, but it can also be thinking of, again, about that next step in your career and where you want to go and how are you going to get there and who do you need to know. It's a natural way to be able to build connections in the field, and that sort of goes along with that last one. And it's more meaningful to be able to work towards something that you're deeply invested in terms of building those relationships in your network than just going to a networking event that's all social. Well, that's good too. We all love to go to those events, by surrounding yourself with some type of focused work, it allows you to be moving in the same direction with something rather than just having informal conversation. And of course, it can help you determine your career goals. I know when I began my career, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and I am definitely not in that place now. It's gone in a whole different direction, and some of it is because of definitely because of my volunteer work. And then you can also discover other things about yourself and how you work. What you like, what you don't like. All those traits about yourself. And with this next slide, it's really thinking about the developing and refining of new skills. And I think all the time about how lucky we are to be in this profession of librarianship and working in libraries because it allows us to flex our skills and flex our intellectual muscles in new and different ways. And so through our service, we get to do just that. So we get to master skills, we get to develop new skills. When we're working in our job, we might be thinking, okay, I've been here for a while and I need something else that's inspiring, that's going to keep me wanting to feel like I'm making a positive difference in this work. And so rather than switching jobs right through your current job, you can provide service, serve on committees, be a part of other organizations, your professional organization, and it allows you to be able to flex those various muscles in different ways so that you can use your skills to benefit others without having to go seek a new job or seek a new opportunity. And then you also get to try new things. So if you're wondering, hey, would I like this? You can find out, and there's no risk at doing that. Well, I should say, as long as you're doing a good job, there's no risk at doing it. You don't want to join a committee and then sort of not do the work that's expected, because that can come back and offer an adverse reaction. All right. Michelle, are you able to speak now?
I am able to speak,
Welcome.
but
Thank
I don't know what
you.
happened to my camera. So I apologize to everyone. First and foremost, this is just some trying times. Apologize for being late, but I am working in a middle school and we had a 12-year-old who passed away. So we were doing a lot of grief counseling today with that. So again, I apologize. Volunteerism, more reasons, and thank you so much, Jen, for holding it down. More reasons to volunteer. It's a lot of reasons. I have great benefits to volunteer, as I volunteered today, and was helping out at the school. But it makes you confident. It helps you expand your network. You can definitely increase your knowledge base. So if you volunteered and you were volunteering for a certain committee, and then you've never done that work before, committee work, for instance, marketing, and you wanted to enhance your marketing skills, you could actually get really great skills from volunteering. And these skills then go on your resume or your CV. And just because you haven't did something in a paid position does not mean that doing it in a volunteer position would prohibit you from putting it on your resume. So when you think about committee work and you think about volunteering at different aspects of your career, it really can enhance your career, especially if you have the background knowledge for something, but just never had the opportunity to apply it in your day-to-day operations of your job. So I'm going to go on to the next slide, right? And so here we have our soft skills accusations, right? You definitely enhance your soft skills here. You have patience, you're passionate, you become professional, you're working with professionalism. But the key thing is flexibility. Flexibility is very important when you're volunteering. Even though you feel as though, oh, I'm just a volunteer, you shouldn't approach it from that aspect. You should approach it from, I'm learning, right? And when you're learning something new, Yahoo, my camera came back on. And when you're learning something new, this is something that you can take with you forever. Knowledge is power. And I feel the soft skills and understanding about that, that's something that gives you the power to say, you know what, I can get this confidence, as Jen has said earlier, to go for a new position. And that position you can go for based on the skills that you have acquired as a volunteer. But you also have to be ready to take on a challenge. It's very challenging. The work can be very challenging, but you also need to treat your volunteer, or I would like to say your committee position, like it's part of your job, like it's a paid position. Don't view it as, oh, I'm just volunteering, or just saying, I've heard someone say to me one day about about volunteering for something. It's like, oh, it's not a paid position. It's just like being a part of a social club. No, it is not being a part of a social club. Take it as being something that's very important and treat it as though it's your job. Take that position you have taken on seriously. um, I heard a saying one time, it's a long time, it's a saying that says, to be early is to be on time, to be on time is to be late, and to be late is just totally unprofessional. So treat it and show up on time. Be consistent, produce high quality work, putting in the effort and passion in everything that you do with it, it will yield you great rewards. I can't tell you how many times in my career from me volunteering and how those volunteer positions has led to other positions. It's even led to consultancy work. It's even led to me having paid speaking engagement. So don't think that it's not something that you cannot do. Next slide.
Actually, it led to you also being an adjunct at St. John Fisher College. That's how we met,
Yes,
was through our volunteer work.
yes, exactly. I'm rushing and jumping in here, volunteering. On a committee with you, Jen, many years ago. You and Barbara Strickland afforded me an opportunity to build a great relationship with you. And out of the relationship, yes, I am so grateful and happy that I've had the opportunity to teach in a graduate program at St. John Fisher. So now, how do we align our opportunities with our goals? This is something that I worked on really, really hard in my career, and that you can work on too as well. So you got to think about a lot of things, right? So when you think about NYLA, right? NYLA is a huge, it's our state library association. And think about all the multitude of committees. We have roundtables, we have just a plethora of places where you can find yourself and land, right? And the thing about it is you build great partnerships. And those partnerships and those relationships are great. But what I want to definitely say that when you're aligning your opportunities with the goal, so if you have you've taken courses in undergrad that you didn't get a chance to use, or if you actually have courses that things that you have taken on your own as professional development, continuing education, take those skills, look at them, look at the skills that you have in your day-to-day operation, and then you can align it with your goals and learning something new. So as the example I gave earlier was marketing. But say marketing might not be what you want to do. Social media is a part of marketing and you want to work in social media. These are things that you can combine your goals with the skills that you want to gain and do it. But then we have the caution. You don't want to overcommit your schedule. You don't want to overcommit and be on 4 and 5 different committees because committee work can get to be very, very grueling at times. And also, you have to think about creating that work-life balance. You know, we live in a society where we forgot about the work-life balance. I joke around with a lot of people about Judy Jetson and the Jetsons and everything is moving around. And some of the things that happened in that cartoon many, many years ago, we are actually living, just waiting for the cars to start flying over my head, and then that's it, right? We have everything else that they had during the Jetsons, telemedicine and things of that nature. But you also think about, you know, give your voice, your heart through giving and volunteering. I can't stress this enough. Volunteer work, treat it as it's your job. Treat it as it's part of your career. Treat it as something that you know that it can land you to the next position that you want to go to. And so understand your role as a volunteer and the importance of service is just really, really important. Identify your potential service opportunities that will allow you the intersection between your personal and your professional goals. Jen?
All right. So the other thing that we wanted to make sure you understand is that there are plenty of opportunities at the New York Library Association if you're interested in providing service. And Michelle talked about this a little bit in terms of being able to work on a roundtable, a section, a committee, all the things you can think of. There's a way for you to take your skills and make them fit within the NYLA infrastructure. And I share that because you know, I feel like I have to say it, as immediate past president is such an amazing place to be able to provide service. When I think of where I started in my career, I really thought that I was going to be in a school library for forever. I loved the work, I loved the opportunities. But what I found was that after a certain number of years, the job started to feel small. I needed a challenge. I needed something else to do. And so it was through the New York Library Association, it was through my local Aslan, it was through other committees where I was able to feel like there was more, like I was more, that I could do something. And it was through that that I gained the confidence to go on and become an administrator and then go on and receive my doctorate. None of that, well, I shouldn't say none of that. It's separate from the day-to-day work I was doing, and it was just as valuable, just as important, maybe even more meaningful sometimes in the work that I was able to do. And one of the things that I absolutely love about the New York Library Association is that it does include library workers in all types of libraries, in archives, special libraries. It includes, you know, from those who have an MLS to those who don't have an MLS. And it's okay because what happens is we learn from people who have a different viewpoint of our profession than what we have. And it really enhances the work that we're able to do. And so I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows there's an opportunity for you if you're looking for an opportunity. And then the last thing we have for you is just a list of references, and we will be sharing out our PowerPoint so that you'll have access if there's anything that you're interested in. Um, thank you all for being here. Michelle, I don't know if you wanted to give a little bit more about your experience as a
Mm.
volunteer.
Yes, sure. So I've had the great pleasure of being an immediate past president of the New York Black Librarian Caucus, which is actually a roundtable of NYLA. Also served on council, and that was a great experience representing academic libraries. My background is very diverse. I've had the great opportunity to say that I have worked and served in the capacity of public, academic, and school libraries. And so having that, my volunteerism work throughout the years has always helped me move to the next position. I am just grateful for all the opportunities that have come out from my volunteerism. The art of service, a lot of people join committees oftentimes because it's something to add on to their CV, or some people join committees because they want to do it. It's a self righteous thing. And then oftentimes you have other people that join committees, especially coming from the academic world. A lot of times they need things for their tenureship. And so oftentimes they'll join for tenureship, but they're not really joining for the opportunities and the knowledge that they can gain from volunteerism. And so that's why Jen and I came up with the title, The Art of Service, because it is an art to service. It's how you want to service, and you're servicing from your heart. Don't get involved in an organization because people do rely on volunteers. A lot of organizations would not be here today if it had not been for volunteers. And so I would highly stress, really weigh out your odds, create that work-life balance. And yes, volunteerism is the greatest thing that you can do. Marian Wright Elderman has a quote that says, "Service is the rent that we pay for living here on earth." And that's what I'll close out with. I'll close out with her quote, "Service is the rent that we pay for living here on earth." Back to you, Jen.
Thank you everyone for joining us. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you both so much. It was amazing. And I'm also someone who volunteers a lot of my time, so I really resonated with the presentation. Um, so please feel free to put any questions you have in the chat or in the question box. But to kick it off, I had a question that maybe people are thinking. Um, so what was both of your first steps into getting into volunteerism? Because I feel like there's so many opportunities. So how did you both pare it down into what you wanted to focus in or on?
I'll take it first. I know Jen's been talking for a while. I'll take the first question. So for me personally, I looked at my current skill set. Actually, I looked at my resume and I said, what do I have that I haven't had a great opportunity to do? And what skill, where can I lend these skills to? So my volunteerism for me personally started way before I became a librarian. It started back when I would volunteer with my kids in their after school programs, or volunteer with any type of extracurricular activity that they were a part of. That's also volunteer work. That's also work that people sometimes often overlook, that you can do and place on your CV and or resume, which other the one that you are using at the time for your career. So for me, it became a part of me. And for me, as far as volunteering in libraries, I brought that with me. And also, my early foundation in life started out as in the world's largest girls organization, and I was a Girl Scout from a brownie all the way to senior. So volunteerism was actually ingrained in me.
Nice, very nice. For me, I'm just super curious. I want to know everything. I want to know everyone. I want to be involved in everything that I can be. And so, with my first job as a school librarian, I joined committees and loved that work. And what I found was that having knowledge from places other than what happened just in my day to day work or in my building created the opportunity for me to be seen as a leader in the school. And then what I found is that once I became more established, I was looking to move from, you know, my school and district to expand outward. And so that's where I became involved with my ESLN and started to do some work there. And then from there moved on to the state level and wanted to know more. And so it just keeps growing as I become more comfortable and confident. And like I said, I have this curiosity and craving to know more, and it happens through the work that I do.
Thank you so much. Um, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Um, I do have one other question though while people are thinking. So what would be the first step for people to get involved in volunteering with NYLA?
You can contact me directly if you want. I have an opportunity for you. That there again, there's so many things that you're interested in, that there's an opportunity for so many things that you may be interested in. You know, through the sections, that's directly related to the type of work you do, but through the roundtables, like that goes in so many different directions. So if you're interested in pop culture, there's a place for you. If you're interested in LGBTQIA rights, there's a place for you. So whatever it is that you are passionate about, there's an opportunity. And what I love is that it can be something that is you know, a few hours a year that you can devote your time, but it can also be the type of thing where if you're devoted and you want to do more, there's a place for you on council, and we can help to get you to that spot where you would be able to do that work. So it's super easy to get involved with NYLA. You can reach out directly to the NYLA staff. You can definitely reach out to me. Every now and then you're going to see some surveys come out saying the call is out there, we're looking for people. That's your opportunity to put your name on the list and say, I'm ready to step up and do some work with NYLA. So an unbelievable amount of different ways that you can be involved.
I think Jen, you summed it up. You summed it up with that. And my New York City background noise, I'm gonna turn it off.
Thank you so much. And just so everyone knows, so if you are a NYLA member, you can add a roundtable or a section. Once you log in, there's an option just to add a section or roundtable if you're interested. And of course, you can always contact me as well. I'll put my email in the chat, and I can direct you to the person who can help you best. If we don't have any other questions, I want to thank everyone for attending. This was such a great session, and just know that it's been recorded, and the presentation slides will be made available to you at a later date.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.